Hi, Dan.
Tyler.
How you doing, my man?
I'm good. Wonder Boy. That's you.
It's me.
You know what
Thank
that makes
you.
me? I think that makes me Young Nasty Man.
Young Nasty Man.
Arigagoo.
We've got a big show planned today.
Yes.
For those who are watching out on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. These things help. I will flash up, of course, as you see right now, the URL to go and listen to our podcast. That would be greatly appreciated if you go out to that URL. Also follow on the podcast as well as the YouTube channel. We have a lot of rivalries to get through, a lot of games to get through. It is week 13. I'm excited. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. You're not willing to show off your haircut. Everything's happening.
No. They gave me a bad haircut this time, Dan.
Hate when that happens.
Here's what we're going to do. As has become the usual process here at the top of the show, let's count it in and do it live.
Let's do it.
Ready to go?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2. College football week 13. Rivalry week, Dan.
Yeah,
Rivalry week. It is here. It is the last week of the college football regular season. It is the biggest week of the college football regular season, sir. How are you, my man?
I'm great, Ty. I'm great. What's better than this? It's Thanksgiving week. It's you're filling your face up with food. You're filling your mind and your heart up with college football. So I got to thinking it's easy to call it Rivalry Week, but we can name something better than just Rivalry Week, Week 13. It all comes. No. Here's what I'm thinking. There are enough situations across this great land because we have a bunch of undefeated teams more than usual. We have we have a cloudy playoff picture because of the SEC, because of the Big 12, because of the Pac-12, because of the Big 10. ACC playoff picture is pretty clear, right? If Florida State takes care of business, they're still probably in decent enough shape, especially if they can win by, I don't know, double digits or so. But here's the thing, Ty, those Seminoles travel. They're on the road. They're going to Gainesville. Alabama's going to, where are they going? They're going to Auburn, Alabama, to compete in the Iron Bowl. Oregon State's on the road. Washington State's on the road. But you know what, Ty? They have a chance to play spoiler and be like, oh, call it spoiler Saturday. No, that's too easy. Because what these teams have the opportunity to do is they can poison the well. And especially during a week in which many people need to let that bird come to temperature, right? You need to get that heat up to snuff. I'm saying there is potential here for a number of these teams to be absolutely finished. So I went and I found the king of Finnish composing, Jean Sibelius, for Salmonella Saturday.
No!
The Beavers can do it in their final power conference game.
People are listening to this on Thanksgiving, maybe on the way to Thanksgiving.
165 is the recommended temperature from the USDA, though I believe bacteria dies around 140, so you can get away with the 150s. But if not,
Salmonella's coming for you on Saturday, too.
you might have a stomach bug Friday. That could be the situation. There's a lot of Sibelius, a lot of Salmonella Saturday potential.
All right.
That's all I'm saying, Ty.
Well, with that as the preamble,
Yeah.
we hope we didn't ruin too many Thanksgiving feasts. We hope you will stick around for the rest of this here podcast because we've got a bunch of games to get through. Of course, you know the drill, big dogs. You know the drill, we're going through quads. You know the drill, I'm going to give you my picks. A Thanksgiving-themed pick. Yes, a Thanksgiving-themed pick on this here Week 13 show. Dan, shall we get to our picks?
Let's dance.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
So look, we're going to go about this a little bit differently today because we've got games on Thursday night, we've got a bunch of games on Friday, and of course all throughout the day on Saturday. The pick'em game that we play over at verballers.com is only for games Saturday and beyond.
Yeah.
That's it. So you have plenty of time to get in on the fun. Go to verballers.com, go to playruntheboard.com, either or will get you to the spot that you need to get to in order to sign up to win a $100 credit from our friends over at Pristine Auction. The reviews have been off the charts so far on the Pristine Auction credit. So you owe it to yourself to play in the game, to get the credit, to type in the name of your favorite team or player or what have you, anything sports memorabilia that is signed. They've got it over at pristineauction.com. Also, as part of this here giveaway this week, a Wonder Boom 3 Bluetooth speaker from a company called Ultimate Ears. You may have heard of them.
Ooh.
It's very, very
It
portable.
floats, right?
Yeah, it does. It's like indestructible.
Nice.
A Bluetooth speaker. We figure we're in the audio business. Why not give away an audio thing? Also, if you sign up for that game, you get access to the ad-free episodes, the full Monday episodes, our Discord server, all the fun stuff that you find at verballers.com, all the bonus perks, the Jeff videos, what have you. And last but certainly not least, give us a call all throughout the weekend at 855-VERBAL-3. That's the reverb line, 855-VERBAL-3. We will play our favorites when we record our big episode recapping all that was in Rivalry Week Saturday night.
All right, where are we starting? We got to get into this.
We do. Let's start with big dog number 1. Let's call this one what it is.
Yeah.
This is the climax of the college football season.
Ooh, tie.
High noon, Fox. Ohio State at 11-0 on the road at Michigan, also 11-0. The point spread is currently 3.5 in favor of the Michigan Wolverines. Your over-under is somewhere in the 46-point variety. This isn't just another game, Dan.
No.
This is the reason we're all here. This is the reason we do this show.
And it's the reason why we're live streaming right here at solidverbal.com or youtube.com/@solidverbal. That's all.
Yeah, we're going to do a live watch along of this game.
Correct.
This year, we've got the sign stealing controversy, which adds drama. We've got Coach Jim Harbaugh suspended, also adds drama. And in light of all that, it feels like it's sort of a now or never season for Michigan and a real turning point going into this new world order of 2024 and beyond. Because if you're Michigan, if you're a Michigan fan, you're a Michigan player, you might be looking at the atmospherics here thinking, damn, we got to win it now, don't we? Because if not, the white knight of the NCAA is going to ride in on the horse and set the whole thing on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that is your backdrop, Dan. That is your backdrop. Other important context is that Michigan has dominated on the ground the last 2 times these teams have played. Last year, it was 45-23, but close. It was a closer game before Donovan Edwards broke off 2 long touchdown runs. The year prior, it was a 42-27 win. That was the game that featured 5 touchdowns from Hassan Haskins. So if nothing more, what we know going into this game is that in the previous 2 matchups, Michigan has proven it can win with the power football against the Buckeyes. Where are you at?
I'm taking Michigan, and here's why. It's in Ann Arbor, and Ohio State has not been especially slicey and dicey on the road this year. You can argue they haven't been especially slicey or dicey anywhere unless it's a Marvin Harrison crossing route or something like that. I don't love taking Michigan here. They're beat up along the offensive line, which is that's the centerpiece of everything. That's the centerpiece of the Michigan Thanksgiving table. Ladarius Henderson has been beat up, starting left tackle. J.J. McCarthy, I don't think Shromore has trusted him fully. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in, a month plus? Since October 21st?
Been a minute.
There's a lot to love about the first 9 or so weeks about Michigan's season, and I think a little bit to be concerned about in terms of how complete Michigan's offense can be against a very good, stifling Ohio State defense. And that's downfield, where they did succeed, especially in that second half last season. The thing that I come back to with picking this game is the fact that it's in Ann Arbor, and there is something quicksandy about Ryan Day losing 2 in a row and now entering this game with a quarterback situation, with a first half on the road situation that hasn't been great, that it's hard for me to see Ohio State getting their offensive line issues and protecting Kyle McCord worked out against this front. I love that Ohio State's been able to run the ball better recently with Travion Henderson's health getting to a much better point. I think the Winder Wonder factor clearly favors the Buckeyes with having a transformative receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. and to a lesser extent, Emeka Egbuka. But I think the way Michigan plays on both sides of the ball, these corners against this passing attack at home with the fervor that's going to be in the big house.
Climax. Continue.
You used climax before, Ty.
Yeah.
Eruption.
Yeah.
I think there is something about Michigan here that I think will continue to give them the emotional edge. Now, they haven't run the ball. You mentioned how successful they were last year in running the ball, and eventually they broke down Ohio State on the ground. I think they're going to struggle this game against Ohio State on the ground. They eventually succeeded somewhat, and they hammered it over and over and over again against Penn State. I think it's going to be different. I think there is going to be a J.J. McCarthy play that opens this up in the second half, maybe much to the reluctance of Sharon Moore, offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, acting head coach in this game. I think it's necessary. I think it's needed. And if I'm going to give an edge here, it's the home team with a good but probably not great quarterback, with emotion on their side, with the speed on defense on their side, and this being the first big outing for Kyle McCord on the road against a team of this caliber, all due respect to Notre Dame.
How dare you?
This caliber.
You smirch the Fighting Irish.
They brought almost 11 guys to that defensive stand attempt. Almost. I think and Notre Dame is better on defense than they were then, but I think I'm still skeptical. It was a slow start against Rutgers on the road, a slow start against Wisconsin on the road. Like, this just isn't a team that feels like they're built to take on all comers, no matter the location, where I have slightly more confidence in Michigan at home. So that's where I'm at.
It's not like Michigan has been a fast starter.
No, they went down to Rutgers early, but
Michigan has had moments in the early parts of their games where they've struggled to kind of get in. I don't hold that against them. I don't hold it against Ohio State. I've been high on Michigan this whole time.
I know, but isn't the Ohio State intention on offense to be much more lethal and downfield and using speed?
That's what we think it's supposed to be. It hasn't really been that.
They've attempted that. They just don't have the offensive line or quarterback play all the time to do it.
It's been much more defense focused on the Ohio State side. And that's just been different. I don't know if it's better or worse. It's just been different than what we've been used to. But let me come back to this. I've been high on Michigan this whole damn time.
I know.
The week schedule, all of it. I picked them to win the title. I'm not necessarily backing off that in light of everything we've seen.
Why would you? They're undefeated, right?
They're undefeated.
You have no reason to. We'll see.
But let me address the elephant in the room here, okay? Because it's impossible to ignore. The offense, the last 2 weeks, has looked very conservative. Yeah?
Yeah, and I was talking with our friend Andy Staples on his show, and he mentioned maybe a lack of confidence in the passing game and protecting J.J. McCarthy with some of the injuries up front, and that changing the strategy about being more aggressive downfield, which to me, I still am not buying, but continue.
I mean, they essentially ran Penn State's offense in that game against Penn State.
Yeah.
And they won because they had better players and a better line, and it very much looked that they were playing not to lose, which is not necessarily going to instill confidence going into a big game like this, but this is the story again last week, too, on the road at Maryland. It just looked like they were playing not to lose. As you said, when you and I typed back and forth, it looked like an offensive line coach was calling the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is.
Well, not just calling the offense, but calling the game, being in charge of the game and big high-leverage decisions, third down midfield, fourth down midfield. Oh, we better punt.
Right. This is all to say that still may be good enough to beat Ohio State. This version of the Buckeyes, as I think you are kind of gently alluding, is not as good as either of the two Buckeyes teams that we saw from the previous 2 seasons. But they are far more battle-tested than Michigan at this point. And if Michigan has proven it can run on Ohio State the last 2 years, Ohio State's also proven it can throw in Michigan. Now, it's not C.J. Stroud, it's Kyle McCord. But I think Kyle McCord's going to have a game. I think he's going to have a good game through the air. I think he's going to feed the monsters out wide.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that Michigan has what it takes to be able to stop that. They can stop it to an extent, but you're not going to completely cut it off. I am not putting any money on this game. I wouldn't dare. I want to watch it. I want to enjoy it with you as part of the live watch along that we're going to do. This is a super close game in the biggest rivalry of this beautiful sport. Michigan wins 26-24. Ohio State.
I was going to, my specific question was going to be, can a team get to 27 points?
No.
I don't think so either. I have it 23-17 Michigan.
I can see.
So they're covering in this game. Is there any specific scenario that you feel like is going to decide this game? I have one.
Go for it.
I think it's Ohio State in the red zone.
Mm.
And they've been able to run it better. If you can't run it, you cannot execute in the red zone consistently against good teams. So they've been able to run it better, which is encouraging. But their numbers in the red zone and Michigan's defense in the red zone, it's the advantage right now. Michigan has that advantage. Their defense in the red zone against Ohio State's offense in the red zone. That to me is going to say everything. And also, if Michigan can force 3rd and longs this is my bonus against Kyle McCord in the offense, I think they can be in a very, very good place. And it's going to just, the matchup of whichever corner gets Marvin Harrison Jr., whether it's Will Johnson or Mike Samerstill, it's going to be incredible. I cannot wait to watch that isolated camera view.
I think the matchup, truly, I don't think we need to overthink it if we want to ride the Underthink Express here.
Mm-hmm.
Can Ohio State not get destroyed on the ground by Michigan the way they had the last 2 years?
Michigan's rushing attack hasn't been where it's been the last 2 years.
It's still very, very good.
Right.
But can they kind of avoid a similar trap?
Right.
Can they avoid that? Because the game, for the most part, was close each of the last 2 years. It was a late touchdown from Hassan Haskins, touchdown number 5 that beat him 2 years ago. And last year, the game was close until a 75-yard run and an 85-yard run by Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
So they're right there with them. It's not like they're getting blown out, but the offense on the Michigan side has been able to assert its will with the running game. And if Ohio State can do anything to prevent against that and make it a little bit of a different game, maybe one that's more reliant on J.J. McCarthy, just change the dynamic a little bit. I don't know. I think it's close. I'm not betting money. I want to enjoy it.
Who's the better quarterback in this game? Throwing into 2 excellent defenses.
I still trust J.J. McCarthy better.
Okay.
I do.
He's been there. Yeah.
He's been there.
I think so too.
So we sort of disagree on this one. Yeah.
We sort of disagree. What was your final score again? 26?
26-24.
So they don't cover.
No. Ohio State plus 3.5.
Ohio State plus 3.5. I'm going Michigan minus. Okay.
Okay. Let's go next big dog here. Let's do it. We got a bunch this week. They call this one the Apple Cup, Dan. It's a big game. Big game. 4 p.m. Fox. It is Washington State at 5-6 on the road at Washington at 11-0. They are a 16.5 point favorite. Is this a scenario which we throw the records out?
No.
We don't throw them out.
No, Washington State's record is what it is for a reason. That said, I'm taking the Cougs to cover.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'm glad you went there with it first.
Okay.
Point spread is 16.5.
It's many points.
It's a lot of points. If we replaced Washington State with another team of a similar profile, let's say, I don't know, UCF.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You wouldn't bat an eyelid at 16.5.
I might actually. If you give me that specific example, UCF.
I'm picking a team out of a hat that's
right.
Similarly profiled in
right.
like the SP plus.
Similar defensive issues.
But yeah. I think this isn't just another week. I think this isn't just another Apple Cup. They did announce they're going to play this one for at least the next 5 years, which is good.
But this is the last one with Washington State sharing a conference.
That's right. Yeah, man. There is baggage this year in this game. Yeah. There is baggage. Washington is leaving Wazoo for dead, and they're joining the Big Ten. You have to believe that Wazoo has had this game circled since August or whenever the hell it was that Washington announced this move. You have to believe it. Think of the state of play. We're going to talk about the Oregon State game next. Think of where these teams are at now. It is literally going to be a Pac-2. A Pac-2.
Yeah.
Next year.
Super PAC.
Super PAC. Thank you. So, I cannot not consider that as
the emotion,
part of my,
okay.
I can't. I just have to. It's rivalry week. So you're taking Wazoo. Why are you taking Wazoo?
Okay. I'm taking Wazoo because I feel as if, well, first of all, Washington doesn't beat teams by 16, 17 points, right?
They have beaten exactly one team by more than 13 points, and that was the Cal Golden Bears. I should say over the last 8 weeks.
One Pac-12 team in the last, yeah.
Over the last 8 weeks, they've beaten exactly one team by more than 13 points, and that was Cal. Since then, they've won by 7-3, 8-9, 10-7, and last week only 2.
Yeah, their defense, they're more a grower than shower, right? Their fourth quarter defense, I saw some stat. They allowed a touchdown to Oregon, but they've shut out a bunch of these teams in the fourth quarter. So for as flawed as Washington's defense is, especially on the ground, especially with the pass rush not getting home like expectations would have had you believe in August, this defense does grow over the course of the game. We saw them get the stops that they got against Oregon State. Say whatever you will about DJU through the air. They got the stops. And Washington State specifically, this is a kitchen sink moment, not just game. It's a kitchen sink moment. And so they're built around a sort of dink and dunk philosophy on offense. I'd love for them to run Cam Ward a lot in the first half. The name of the game for Washington State will be find shot opportunities downfield, especially Josh Kelly, run Cam Ward some, generate third and shorts. Washington has a lot of trouble getting off the field on third down, and they're especially not good at forcing 3 and outs. Wazoo needs to be creative, and even as things fall apart for them as a program with expectations of being a power conference program, rightfully so, I think this opportunity against Washington, coming off of an emotional win, a 22-20 win, thanks in part to a safety, right? The safety was the difference. And it's which day is this game being played? Friday or Saturday?
This game's on Saturday.
It's games on Saturday. I think there will be something about Wazoo here. And the general sentiment around Washington right now I'm seeing is like, well, 12-0. They shouldn't even have to play in the Pac-12 championship game. What more do they have to prove? They're counting this as a win. I don't know. I think there's a cocktail involved. There's an elixir. I think Washington's better. They have the better quarterback. They have the better team. They have the better resume. They're going to win this game. They don't distance themselves from teams. They don't take care of business in the way that playoff teams should. I have Washington winning this game 37-31.
I feel goofy saying this because Washington's unbeaten and now a playoff team per the latest college football playoff rankings.
Yeah.
But I come back to what we mentioned a minute ago. What has Washington done over the last 8 weeks of the season to earn a 16.5 point spread?
Right.
Exactly nothing. This is clearly a good team with a dynamic offense, but a week after a sloppy rain game and a week before a monster rematch that they may be looking ahead to with Oregon in Vegas.
And they'll know. They'll know by kickoff, right? Because
they'll know by kickoff. They will
Oregon,
know by kickoff.
Oregon State is Friday evening. Yeah.
They'll know by kickoff. But keep in mind, Wazoo needs this to get bowl eligible. Keep in mind, again, this is the far biggest game on their schedule. This is a de facto national championship scenario.
On the road. But yes.
On the road. But that's a lot of points. Wazoo is going to move the ball in Washington. And for me, it comes down to efficiency. All right. If Wazoo gets 12 drives in this game, on how many of those do they need to score points? On how many? Because this is not a particularly explosive team. I know you said you'd like to see them go down the field. They brought over Ben.
Dunk. Yeah.
They brought over Ben Arbuckle. This is very much a Dunkin' Donuts offense that we've seen so far this season. They've pretty much gone full air raid with Ben Arbuckle. But it's a situation where they're really not running the ball that well. Cam Ward is the team's leading rusher.
You know, when they actually do run, they don't run well in the first half. But when they actually do run and have designed situations, like, they're not bad.
They just need to do more of it, I think, to have some sort of balance and to not make it a one-note
one of the
offense.
worst first half rushing teams in America. Yeah.
They need like 5 or 6 touchdowns to win a game like this, and I don't know if they're going to do that against Washington. Not without any chunk plays. You need the chunk plays. You need to prove that you can get those chunk plays. Maybe they'll get them in the biggest moment this season. But I think they can score.
Yeah.
And I think they can absolutely cover 16.5 points. I think there's a ton of offense in this game. Washington hung 700 yards and 51 points on them a year ago. That was a team with a much better defense. Washington wins this game, Dan. However, if 2 is a coincidence and 3 is a trend, what do we call 8 straight games of not being able to separate? What do we call
how many straight years? I don't think no team has ever run the table and gone 9-0 in the Pac-12, right?
No. I know it's Husky Stadium. I know Wazoo is 0-4 on the road, including losses at Arizona State and Cal, which is ick. I want those points in a rivalry. This has the makings of one of those games where Wazoo is chasing late. They decide to go for 2 to get it to 7 or 8, and they fail and they lose by 9. 52-43.
52-43. Wow. An extra day of rest and practice, right? Wazoo played Colorado, sliced and diced them on Friday night. So
a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
Let's travel back in time, Dan. Let's go to the Platypus Cup. We call it the Platypus Cup. Maybe you still call it the Civil War. They play for the Platypus Trophy of some sort, yeah?
Yes.
Kind of a combo between a duck and a beaver.
Yes, of course.
Oregon State at 8-3 on the road at Oregon 10-1. Oregon favored by 13.5 points. This one's a Friday nighter, 8:30 Eastern on Fox. There is a hidden matchup in this game that we need to discuss. But before I get there, let me play the game that I played with the Apple Cup. If we swapped out Oregon State for Texas A&M, if A&M were the 13.5-point dog on the road in Autzen Stadium, I don't think you'd think twice about that line. I don't think you would. I wouldn't. But
I don't know. A&M has a defense that Oregon State can't match. Okay.
Consider the baggage. Consider the baggage. You still want to gloss over that point spread? Keep in mind, Oregon also left Oregon State for dead. They joined the Big Ten after Oregon State put the finishing touches on a $162 million stadium renovation at Reser Stadium. They went in the hole to build the stadium up, and then everybody left.
Yeah.
They all left them.
Yep.
Is that the kind of university you want to associate yourself with, Dan?
Sure. I don't know. It's fine by me.
It's cold-blooded.
I've enjoyed Reser Stadium, by the way. I've been a couple times. It's a good time. Good potato salad, good stadium.
Good potato salad. Oregon State has had this game circled. They almost peed in the punch for Washington a week ago. Now they can nuke Oregon's playoff hopes with a win.
Totally. Salmonella. Oregon
Your
better be up
words,
to
your
temp.
music, not mine.
That bird, those ducks better be up to temp.
Get it to 165 degrees.
Yeah.
Per the
USDA.
USDA. FDA is different. What is your pick here?
I'm going Oregon big.
How big?
I think Oregon's going to win this game by 3+ touchdowns.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's not because I don't think Oregon State is decent, pretty good, whatever. And they're certainly above the teams that Oregon has played and made mincemeat out of recently. You know, they're a more complete team than USC. And certainly when you look at Stanford and Cal, and just a number of these teams are flawed. Arizona State last week. Like, it's just Oregon State's on a different level. They're better. They're more dangerous. They've got better quarterback play. Damian Martinez is one of the absolute best backs in this conference, one of the handful best in the country. The way Oregon is ready for these games and has been ready for these games by and large this year, playing the way that they did against Utah. I think Oregon State they're going to be ready for this game, but I think there's just lingering dejection. Is dejection a word? Do we think that's a word from last week against Washington? A very winnable game at home against Washington. I think they pushed all their emotional chips into that. And now you talk about leaving for dead. How much longer is Jonathan Smith going to be the coach at Oregon State? And I don't blame him. I think in a perfect world, he'd love to coach at Oregon State for a long time, make a lot of money, take this team to a lot of big bowl games. But that's not the world in which we live. That's lingering over the program now. I think Oregon corners are going to smother Oregon State receivers. I think DJU has been off. This offensive line for Oregon State has been beat up. There's only so much energy and spirit you can muster with a backup offensive line. There's only so much energy and spirit you can muster if your quarterback's throwing late. There's only so much if Oregon's defensive line is overwhelming your offensive line. There's only so much you can muster if Bucky Irving and Jordan James are just making, 8-9 yards of beaver patties every single snap.
Patties. Okay.
So I think there are too many ways for Oregon to win this game, and they're going to be emphatic about this, especially because potentially they could be in a conversation about the playoff with a win here, with a great performance against Washington, and they don't have a lot of resume chunks to display.
No.
Oregon State would be a ranked resume chunk to display. So winning this game 45-13 is emphatic. My final score, I'm going to say 45-17 Oregon.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. What do you have?
I'll say this, the hidden matchup that concerns me is Oregon State's rushing defense trying to stop Bucky Irvin and Jordan James. You mentioned it. And the Oregon rushing attack just on the whole. In terms of rushing yards per game, if you go out online and look for it, Oregon State's actually pretty good. They're 18th nationally. But to quote the wise prophet Rafiki, look harder. Who's Oregon State played with a running attack that scares you? What teams have they played that run it 35 times?
Well, what do they do? Do they play Cal? Jade Knott? He's a good back.
Yeah. And they gave up a ton of yardage
in
that game. That's sort of my point. I think if you look deep down at the Oregon State rushing defense, you're going to find it's not all that good. The numbers make it look better than it is, but it's fool's gold.
Yeah.
And the Ducks are going to run for like 250 and win going away. I am going to do this for you, Dan Rubenstein, because
Please.
I love you.
Yeah.
Lock of the week.
All right. Doesn't bother me.
I think Oregon's locked in, and I think this is 49-20 in favor of the Ducks. They win big going away. We agree.
Yeah. Makes good sense.
Final big dog, Dan.
Let's.
The Florida Cup, yeah?
Sure.
Let's go back to Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, yeah? ESPN. Florida State, 11-0, -6.5 on the road at Florida. Florida with a record of 5-6. When I made our document.
Yeah, this line has been all over.
All over the place. When I made our document, the line was Florida State -11.5.
Mm-hmm.
It is now Florida State -6.5. I hate the situation for the Noles. I hate the situation for the Noles. Jordan Travis, done for the year, gruesome injury a week ago. Still turns my stomach to think about it. But they're on the road at night in the swamp. Florida needs the win to get bowl eligible. Who knows? Maybe Billy Napier's coaching for a job. I don't honestly believe that, but the seat's getting warmer. They can ruin Florida State's playoff hopes to close out their regular season. All of those things being said, it's very easy to understand why this line came down. My question is, has it come down too much? Has it come down too much? Because I still think Florida State's a really good team. We focus a lot on Jordan Travis and what that means for the offense, but Tate Rodemaker came in and was actually pretty decent last week.
Yeah.
Northern Alabama, consider it in context.
Sure.
But he's been with the program for 3 years now, whatever.
And we'll now have a full week of being the guy in practice, getting all the reps there. He came in relief last year when Jordan Travis went down against Louisville. And so now he will have all the reps and much more comfort than he's ever used to having playing.
Totally.
Football. Yeah.
And he was actually Mike Norvell's very first commit when Norvell took the job at Florida State. He's been there the whole time. So I think there is definitely this notion out there that, Jordan Travis is done. They go to some guy with a weird name. I made fun of it a year ago. What is a Tate Rodemaker? I don't know. Tate Rodemaker's been there. He knows the offense. He wasn't a disaster. He won't be a disaster. So again, I ask, has the line come down too much?
I loved Florida at 11, 10.5, whatever it was before. It's a good question. Okay, so the thing I love to look for in teams making a year 1 to year 2 jump is generally pass rush and the ability to stop big plays. You do that, you can cover up for a number of roster flaws or so-so performances doing whatever. Florida does not have a pass rush. They do not stop big plays. And in a lot of instances, this Florida defense just did not give a ton of effort. You look at the end of that Arkansas game, there's a lot to discount about Florida, and reasonably so. Florida State, on the other hand, is a team that with Jordan Travis didn't necessarily separate themselves from flawed teams in the way that I would hope a playoff caliber team would. And now they're taking a backup quarterback to a very difficult place to play. Florida, I believe, beat Florida State with Dan Mullen after Dan Mullen was fired, the interim situation, right? So just generally speaking in the ether, Florida can get up for this game even as a noticeable underdog. I can't, in good conscience, take Florida here. I love the best of Florida running the ball. I don't love Florida's offensive line against this Florida State front that hounds quarterbacks. There really isn't a lot to if you have to squint really violently to find any Florida advantage here, you're strictly going off of vibes to say, I feel as if Florida can spoil Florida State's season just because it's in the swamp.
Yeah.
The point, if I were getting a touchdown plus, I'd feel better about it. I hate it, but I'm giving the points with a backup quarterback on the road because it doesn't necessarily mean that he is a bad quarterback, because most quarterbacks would back up a quarterback like Jordan Travis. So I'm going to regretfully and ashamedly give the points here.
Well, look, Florida's been very lumpy. You don't know what Florida team are going to get from week to week. They've lost 4 in a row, but they went on the road and they were tied a week ago with Mizzou. Lost that game 33-31, something like that.
Sure.
They're good enough to be in games, but as we've seen over the last however many weeks now, they're just not really good enough to win some of those games. It's been a very up and down season for the Gators, where the defense coming into the year was the big question and hasn't really improved much. Graham Mertz, which was maybe the biggest question of all, has actually been pretty good, but it hasn't seemed to matter because the defense sucks.
They're the most explosive allowing defense in America, and they do not turn teams over as well.
Not at all.
So there's not a lot to love about Florida's ability, even with a not so good defense, to make plays.
This game is a hard pass for me on the betting front. I would never put real money here. I have no idea, truly.
Yeah.
Too many factors to consider.
By the way, no Graham Mertz in this game.
No Graham Mertz in this
No
game.
Graham Mertz in this game.
Okay. My official pick is Florida State 28-20. 28-20. I think Tate Rodemaker is good enough to get the job done. I think Florida State has gotten to this point this season, and they've done so not solely because of Jordan Travis. They've done so because over the course of the last couple seasons, Mike Norvell has built up this roster. They are very, very solid across the board, and they're good enough to beat Florida, even on the road at night in the Swamp, 28-20.
So you're going to get those points?
I'm giving the points. Florida State 28-20.
Oh, give it. Okay, so they barely cover. Okay. Yeah, my final score, 30-17.
30-17. All right.
Yeah.
Shall we get to our first quad of the long weekend of games?
Let's do that. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's get to the afternoon quad, Dan. Iron Bowl, huh?
This one is spicier to me.
Really?
Yes.
Here are the games in our afternoon quad. We've got Alabama-Auburn, the Iron Bowl. Auburn, a 14.5-point home dog. We've got the game for Paul Bunyan's Axe. We're focusing on these named games and named trophies, by the way, in case you haven't discovered this yet. Wisconsin, -2.5 on the road at Minnesota, 3:30 on FS1. We've got the Commonwealth Cup between Virginia Tech and Virginia. That one's at 3:30 ACC Network. Virginia Tech favored by 2.5. We've also got the Territorial Cup, 3:30 ESPN. Arizona -10.5 on the road
Huge
at
one.
ASU. Yeah, there are some other games here. We'll go through them very, very quickly. There's also a Saturday afternoon mega quad that I need to call out.
Please.
But for the time being, in terms of Power 5 rivalries, these are the ones that I think drew the most attention. Why is the Iron Bowl spicy to you?
It's spicy to me because I don't believe teams are what they are at their lowest moment, which is where Auburn was after losing to the Diego Pavia and New Mexico State. I think they looked past them. I think it was a look-ahead moment that a better version of this Auburn team won't succumb to, but this is the reality in which we live right now. I think it is especially easy for Alabama to look at last week's result and let their guard down a little bit. I think it's especially easy to think Jalen Milroe has shed his early season struggles in throwing dumb interceptions. I think it's especially easy to think after last week, Auburn is just a team that loses to New Mexico State, and that's who they are every single week. And first of all, Jerry Kill has done an incredible job in Las Cruces. This is no slight at New Mexico State. Should have beaten UMass week 1, but whatever. I think Auburn covers this spread. At home, with a pass rush, in what will be a frenzied environment, and Alabama's already clinched the West.
No.
So they're not, look, they're going to be focused on the Iron Bowl. It's the Iron Bowl. But they're not seeing this as like a play-in game for the SEC championship game. And I don't know. I just think it's going to be a weird game that Auburn can force a couple of mistakes from Jalen Milroe. I don't love Peyton Thorne, but I'm not ready to officially assign Auburn as the team we saw last week. And I am ready to say, and Alabama hasn't always run away from, clearly flawed average teams, which I think Auburn is, especially on offense. So I have Alabama winning this game, but not covering. What's the number at the present moment?
14.5.
14.5. Couple touchdowns? No. I think Alabama wins this game 31-23.
Auburn's not a finished product. They're just not.
No.
And they weirdly hung with Georgia and Ole Miss, but then got annihilated and couldn't really score against LSU. Of course, they lost by 21 at home a week ago to New Mexico State, a good New Mexico State team, but still New Mexico State. Just very lumpy all over the place for Auburn, which I think makes this game against Bama even harder to project. I don't like that 14.5 number. I don't. I don't got Auburn winning this. I don't think there's a chance in hell they win this game. But I think it's something like 38-24. Alabama.
Oh, so they're barely not covering?
Not covering.
Half a point? The hook?
The hook, man. The hook scares me. If this tucks under 14, I'd consider maybe a small play on Bama because I still think Bama's clearly the better team here. But 14.5, that little hook in a rivalry on the road, that scares the hell out of me. So I'm on Auburn with you. I am.
All right. We agree.
Quickly, Paul Bunyan's axe. Wisconsin -2.5. I don't know Paul Bunyan. We've never had him on the show. I got to believe this is the kind of football Paul Bunyan
What's the
prefers.
ox? Babe? The big blue ox?
Big blue ox, yeah.
Okay.
Who wants a spoiler? I've got a spoiler. Who wants a spoiler?
Salmonella Saturday. Spoil it up.
Minnesota stinks.
Yeah.
They stink, Dan. They started the year as a top 25, a fringe top 25-ish team. They've gotten worse almost every week since. They're currently 67th in the SP+, entirely on the back of a turnover margin that's +4, a defense that forces a bunch of 3-and-outs, and a good special teams unit.
Okay.
And that is literally it. That is it. They stink. I am confidently on Wisconsin here minus the number.
Why? Why? I
'Cause
mean, why
Minnesota
Wisconsin-wise?
stinks.
I know Minnesota stinks. What is it about Wisconsin? The team actually has to make plays to win a game. Wisconsin's lost 3 of 4. Edge Nebraska last week.
3 of 4. Edge Nebraska last week.
They beat your Indiana. They lost to your Indiana Hoosiers.
Lost my
excuse me,
Indiana Hoosiers.
And Northwestern. It wasn't especially close against Northwestern.
This is more a bet against Minnesota than it is for Wisconsin. That's
Okay.
where we're at in the Big Ten West, is it not?
It's at Minnesota, right?
Don't care.
I think Minnesota's bad. I'm going to take Wisconsin here in an ugly 17-14 win.
Commonwealth Cup, 3:30 ACC Network. Virginia Tech, 5-6, -2.5 at Virginia. Other than Ohio State, Michigan, I'm actually most curious about this game.
Okay.
And I say that with a completely straight face. I was high on Virginia Tech last week. I jinxed them out of their 6th win by locking them up. But they can do it this week. They can go bowling. Virginia, on the other hand, is playing better, and they're plucky, and they've got Anthony Calandria, ACC Player of the Week last week. He, though, committed a cardinal sin of rivalry games.
Uh-oh.
And he made an offhand quote about Tech. Quote, after we beat Virginia Tech, this program is going to shoot up, and everyone in the country is going to know about us. They didn't play this game a year ago because of the tragedy at UVA.
Yes.
I'm happy that we get this game back. So that in and of itself is a big deal this weekend. Virginia Tech is 18-2 the last 20 times these teams have played. You may think, well, that was in the past. It doesn't matter. The past has a weird way of showing up in these rivalry games year in and year out. I don't know why it didn't happen in Bedlam this year, okay? But on the whole, the past comes out in these games. Virginia Tech almost exclusively beats Virginia the way Penn State almost exclusively beats Maryland. So I'm on Hokie high, Virginia Tech minus the 2.5.
So the scary thing is Virginia Tech has not been good on the road this year at all. And Virginia they're not an elite loser, but they find ways to lose. I like Virginia Tech here because of quarterback playing defense. I think that's something I can just count on more with the Hokies. It scares me, but you are right that Virginia Tech just wins this game. By and large, they just win this game. And so I'm going to go with the Virginia Tech, the Hokie offense. I'm going to go with the pass rush. Virginia Tech gets it done because I think they have more ways to win. And, all due respect to Charlottesville, Virginia, I don't think the environment is going to be so crazy that it affects the Hokies and their offense. Not a lot of bunch of false starts or anything. Yeah, I'm going Virginia Tech here by, I don't know. What's the line?
2.5.
Yeah, they're going to win this game by 10.
Final game here in the Quad Territorial Cup, Arizona minus 10.5 at ASU. Let's just lock this one up too.
Lock of the week.
I looked at this. I said, is this line a joke? What is this? I don't get
Is
it.
this some kind of, is this a school for ants?
I'm taking them as a lock. It's our Jake Locker pick of the week. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this. I don't know why ASU is within 2 scores of Arizona in this game.
Does this lock change if Jaden Rashada starts? He's been practicing with the ones and finally going to make a
I don't think so.
Is in place to make a comeback potentially.
I hope he does. I'd love to see it. And if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Arizona is playing really well. They're playing really, really well. They're up to 15th in the polls. This team has a lot to play for. I think they've got a full head of steam right now.
Does anything change if Oregon wins going away and Arizona's not going to make the Pac-12 championship game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I have Arizona big as well.
Okay.
I think Arizona wins this game 42-17.
Real quickly before I get to the afternoon mega quad.
Let's.
Okay. Rumble in the Rockies, Colorado at Utah. Utah favored by 22.5. Quick.
I don't know what
pick.
Shedeur Sanders' status is because he got hurt in that Wazoo game. I'm going Utah.
I'm going to go Utah as well. Land of Lincoln Trophy. Northwestern on the road at Illinois. Northwestern got bowl eligible. Illinois 5-6 trying to get bowl eligible. Illinois favored by 5.5 points here.
Northwestern ended their snip-snap, right, by beating
They
Purdue and winning 2 straight. I think Northwestern gets it done.
I say they start a new one. Let's go Illinois minus the points.
Ugh.
Maryland -1 at Rutgers. I almost put this one in the quad.
Rutgers. Absolutely Rutgers. Defense at home against a letdown opponent. Maryland losing the way they did to Michigan.
I'm with you. Okie State at home -17 against BYU. Give me Okie State.
You're not supposed to say Okie, Ty.
Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State.
Okay. I like Oklahoma State as well. BYU is abysmal on the road. If you want to get your affairs in order, invite BYU to your house. Unless you're Arkansas. That's the asterisk there.
That's
Unless
the
you're
asterisk.
Arkansas.
And Tennessee -27 at home against Vandy.
Give me Tennessee.
I'll go Tennessee. The Saturday afternoon Mega Quad.
Now my question to you is, how bad do you really want legs?
How bad do you want those legs, Dan? Let's let's just go
badly.
rapid fire here.
Okay.
James Madison, 10-1, -9 on the road at Coastal.
Too many points. Give me Coastal.
Give me Coastal as well. 4 o'clock, ESPN Plus, Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks on the road at New Mexico State. We've been talking a lot about New Mexico State in these parts lately.
Yeah.
New Mexico State -2.5.
Give me New Mexico State. I think they are for real. Is Las Cruces at elevation? Is that something? Wow. Is that information? 3,900 feet. Yes, absolutely. Give me New Mexico State.
Give me New Mexico State as well. They call this next one Deeper Than Hate.
Yeah.
Deeper Than Hate. ESPNU, Georgia Southern on the road at App State. App State favored by 8.5 points, Dan.
Georgia Southern in a letdown spot. App State pulls it out by 3, though.
I'm on App State. They've been playing really well. Battle on the Bayou. Louisiana Monroe at 2-9. On the road at Louisiana at 5-6. Louisiana favored by 12.5 points.
Monroe's been awful. Give me Louisiana. Give me the Raging Cajuns.
Lock of the week.
Louisiana has lost 3 straight. It has been an extremely lumpy season. Literally, Dan, every number, every model I have seen is saying that Louisiana wins this by 21 or more points.
Okay.
I don't get the line. I don't have to. Louisiana big. I'm locking it up. And then last but certainly not least, the first round of the FCS playoffs. Not going to play the full thing. It is Lafayette on the road at Delaware. Delaware favored by 12.5 points. Dan, first round FCS playoffs. Winner plays Montana.
Oh, that's a tough one. Montana just won the Brawl of the Wild, right?
That's right.
Against Montana State. What do you know about Jamar Curtis? What do you know about the Maroon Maulers up front for Lafayette, Ty?
We're on the Yetis here to pull the upset, right?
What do you know about the linebacking duo of Billy Schaefer and Marco Olivas, Ty?
Yeah.
What do you know about Patriot League Coach of the Year? I think it's John.
I know absolutely
John Troxel. John
Nothing.
Troxel turning this defense around. Give me the Leopards outright. Lafayette 36, Delaware 30.
John Troxel's an extremely Eastern Pennsylvania
Isn't it?
name.
It's great.
It's the most Eastern PA name
John Troxel. Continue.
Let's go to the Saturday night quad, shall we?
Welcome to the pain zones where we live.
All right. 8 p.m. on Fox, we've got Farmageddon, Iowa State at Kansas State. We've also got 7:30 on ABC, Clean Old Fashioned Hate. It's Georgia at Georgia Tech. The Palmetto Bowl, also at 7:30, SEC Network, Clemson at South Carolina. And then they don't have a name for this North Carolina-NC State rivalry.
Really?
There have been articles written that they need to name it, but they haven't. So maybe you can come up with a name. You're good at that. 8 p.m. ACC Network. It is North Carolina -2.5 on the road at NC State. Give me some quick picks here. What do you got?
Of these games, you want some quick picks?
That's why I listed them off, man.
All right, I have Iowa State covering Farmageddon. They've actually performed pretty well in this matchup recently. I think that's too many points, but Kansas State is playing for something. The opportunity to maybe potentially sort of play for the Big 12 championship.
Potentially.
If everything works out in their favor. Georgia big against Georgia Tech, although it scares me a little that, Georgia's going to call off the not literal, but, punny dogs so that nobody gets hurt late in a decided matchup. I have South Carolina at home. They're going to lose this game by 3, but they're going to give Clemson everything they have. At home, Williams-Brice is going to be rocking night game. SEC Network. I don't know who's calling this game. Is Cole Kublik on the sideline for this one?
Probably.
I feel like he does a lot of these night SEC Network games. Does a great job. North Carolina, NC State. I have a defense at home. Give me NC State outright.
I've got 31-17 K-State and Farmageddon.
Okay.
I think this is a favorable spot for them. They're at
So they
home.
cover.
Yeah, they cover a week after Iowa State at the Big Texas game.
Chris Kleiman hasn't done crazy well in this, but continue.
I'm on K-State, 31-17. I'm on Georgia Tech plus the points. I'm on Georgia Tech plus the points because of the reason that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It would take some incredible Haynes King magic to make this one close.
Okay. At home?
At home, Georgia Tech's a bowl team, decent rushing offense.
Yeah.
Catastrophic defense for Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
They're not going to have any answers for Georgia's offense, but I could see them calling off the dogs. Let's say 38-17. So comfortable win for Georgia, but a cover for Georgia Tech. I am also on the plus 7.5 for North Carolina over Clemson because South Carolina needs this one to make a bowl. Obviously, they won the game a season ago. I went against them last week. I'm not going to do it again. It's home Spencer Rattler. So give me South Carolina plus the 7.5.
Are we in the middle of a Renaissance, by the way? We've got a Brent Pry, a Brent Key, and a Brent Venables? Are we in the middle of a Renaissance?
And by the way, Brennan Armstrong playing better lately.
We're in a Renaissance.
We might be. Yeah. I'm going North Carolina, by the way, 27-21.
Okay. Fair enough.
In the unnamed North Carolina rivalry that needs a name.
Okay.
Any other picks here? We've got the Fresno San Diego State game. They play for an oil can. That's pretty cool.
So this is Brady Hoke's final Mountain West game.
Yeah.
I think I like Fresno here on the road.
I
don't think
Fresno.
the environment is going to be crazy.
I like Fresno. South Alabama, Texas State. I'll go Texas State on NFL Network. I'll go West Virginia minus whatever against Baylor. I think Baylor's done. Kansas minus whatever at Cincy. I think Cincy's done. And Cal, UCLA giving 9.
I like Cal here.
Kind of like Cal.
It's so weird. These two teams are not playing anymore.
No.
Cal joining the ACC, UCLA joining the Big Ten. And again, it's one of those matchups where there's scar tissue, even though they're not rivals. It's the weekender when, the LA teams travel up north. I'm going to take Cal here in a letdown spot for UCLA. I think Cal gets it done.
I think I'm with you. All right. Shall we travel back in time and do the early quad?
Let's.
Welcome to the pain zone is where we live.
Let's go to the pain zone here. 4 games, early part of Saturday. The Governor's Cup. High noon ABC, Kentucky 6-5 on the road at Louisville 10-1. Louisville favored by 7. Got the Old Oaken Bucket. Love this game.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten Network, Indiana 3-8. Purdue 3-8. Purdue favored by 3.5. We've got on ESPN Texas A&M at LSU. LSU favored by 11.5. They don't have a name for that game, but still on our radar. And I also put FS1 high noon Houston at 4-7 against UCF. UCF going for a bowl at 5-6. They're favored by 13.5 points. Stan, quick picks. Go. Give me quick ones. What do you got?
I like Louisville here. I think they're going to be able to run really, really well against Kentucky, getting sort of energized ahead of the ACC championship game. Hudson Card appears to be back for Purdue, so I'm going to take the Boilers here, even though I love them. They look very sloppy against Northwestern without him. Heisman Card. I'm going to take Texas A&M to cover against LSU. I still don't think the defense for LSU obviously is where it needs to be, so I think it's going to be a back-and-forth shootout-type matchup. Jaden Daniels certainly is going to be featured and needs to, because it seems to be a very tight race with Bo Nix. I don't have a good case against Jaden Daniels. He's been just beyond incredible since he got to face SEC defenses and escape those Pac-12 defenses. So I'm going to go A&M to cover, and I'm going to go UCF to cover against Houston. How about that? I think they'll run all over them.
I'm on Houston plus 13.5.
Okay.
Playing for Holgo's job. I am on LSU minus whatever against A&M. I think A&M's pack it in. There are rumors about guys going in the portal now. Those guys are thinking about Cancun.
Yeah.
They're not interested in this game. So I'm on LSU minus whatever. I'm on Purdue minus a 2.5 or 3.5, whatever the line is, and I'll also take Louisville.
You're just ignoring the fact that Texas A&M has won 17 straight against in-state opponents like Abilene Christian and Rice. Did you see that post? That was great.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Next.
Any other games here in this block that it's kind of a lame block of games, to be honest, Saturday early?
Yeah, Syracuse, no Dino Babers. I think they're going to cover and win against Wake Forest, who they've been abysmal. I'm going to take Duke against Pitt. I don't know. Pitt's bad. I think Duke is finding ways. The Duke defense is by far the best thing in this game, so I'm going the Duke Blue Devils.
All right, let's go back in time if we could.
Once more.
You have to achieve failure. You have to take it that far. Nobody wants to go that far. It's too scary.
Too scary, Dan.
You know something? I got news for you. That's where winning is.
Where winning is the Thursday and Friday quad.
Yeah.
So we do these in reverse order because a lot of people download the episode. They don't get a chance to listen until, later on in the week, before Saturday, in many cases Saturday morning. So we don't want to put this one first because then you hear it and it's already outdated by the time you listen. We don't want to make ourselves look bad, really, is what this comes down to.
Agree.
But we got to talk about these games. We got some big rivalry games. We got maybe the biggest G5 game of the year, which isn't in the quad, but we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
Got the Egg Bowl Thursday night. Play this one Thanksgiving evening at 7:30 on ESPN. Ole Miss, a 10-point road favorite at Mississippi State. We've got the Heroes game Friday at high noon on CBS between Iowa and Nebraska. Nebraska, a 2.5-point home favorite. We've also got the battle for the Chancellor's Spurs, Dan. Yes, Friday, 7:30, ABC. It is Texas Tech. It is Texas. Texas is favored by 12.5 points. And, of course, we also have the border war. Got the border war between Missouri and Arkansas. Missouri favored by 7.5 points on the road. Close out the year against the Hogs, 4 o'clock on CBS, Dan. Who you got in these games?
Isn't that the Battle Line rivalry?
Or Battle Line rivalry, what am I saying?
Yeah. Border Wars, Kansas, Mizzou.
My bad.
Okay. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Egg Bowl. Let's start with the Egg Bowl.
I like Ole Miss big here. I hate that it's in Starkville and Mississippi State has been as bad as they've been this year, but it's hard to see them scoring. Ole Miss's defense is decent, and I think that's enough to hold down Mississippi State's offense.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
That's all you got to say. Mississippi State's playing this game. Mississippi State needs the win to get bowl eligible. They're not going to get the win to be bowl eligible. They fired their coach.
But wouldn't it just be like the Egg Bowl?
Salmonella Saturday? Yeah.
To be the ultimate on Thanksgiving Day, right? Thanksgiving night?
The Egg Bowl, the tie-in with Salmonella is real. Yeah.
Okay. Just don't overlook it in the Egg Bowl. Anything can happen in the Egg Bowl.
So you're still taking Ole Miss big, though.
I'm still taking Ole Miss.
I agree.
I'd be terrified, though.
The over-under in the Iowa-Nebraska game is 26.5 points. It's the lowest total ever. I saw plenty of conjecture out there online that it still feels too high.
Yeah.
It feels like a 13-10 kind of game. I'm not betting this game, at least not the over. I will come back to it in a little bit. I will abstain from picking now because this is part of my parlay that you need to help me name. But where are you at, Iowa, on the road, a 2.5-point dog against Nebraska?
Nebraska, tough-fought battle and a losing effort last week against Wisconsin. Iowa is Iowa. This feels like a game that Iowa randomly gets its offense together in. As soon as you're ready to write them off, I'm going to say 23-14 Hawks.
Okay. I'll come back to this one.
Okay.
Battle for the Chancellor's Spurs. Texas Tech at Texas. Texas, a 12.5-point home favorite. I am on Texas here.
You think Texas wins big, takes care of business?
I'm on Texas to win.
Okay.
I'm on Texas Tech to cover.
Okay.
Texas Tech is not a bad team.
No,
Texas
they've won
Tech,
3 straight. Yeah.
Texas Tech has won 3 straight. They have largely flown under the radar here down the stretch. And I think this is a good team. I think that they will be fired up to play this game. And it's very easy for Texas to kind of look past this and maybe what's to come in the conference title game a week from now, in the playoff games, if they should get that far. So I don't think necessarily Texas is going to let up, but I think Texas Tech is going to be loaded for bears. So I want those points.
Yeah, I wish Texas Tech did something better than they do. I'm going Texas here to win. You know, it could be a wish casting moment for me because Texas losing would certainly benefit Oregon if Oregon takes care of business. But Texas Tech has not been great on the road. It started out with losing to Wyoming, and it really hasn't. They lost at BYU, did they not?
No.
Texas Tech? I just don't think they get it done against Texas. I think Texas is going to roll here. They're going to be counting on the passing attack more than they thought they would because of Jonathan Brooks' injury a couple weeks ago. But still, Texas 31-14.
Yeah, I'm on Tech to cover. And then the battle line rivalry between Mizzou and Arkansas. 7.5 points. I'm on Mizzou. Yeah, I think I'm on Mizzou there. The big G5 games here in this Thursday/Friday quad. UTSA on the road at Tulane.
Must watch
game. 3:30. It's on ABC, which is awesome. I'm on UTSA plus 3.5.
I think I am too, and it's hard to gauge somewhat, but I think momentum is on their side with how well the offense has been rolling lately. And look, I know Tulane has been in these spots before. I know this is UTSA's first year in this conference, but as much as I like Tulane and their ability to prevent bigger plays, of which they're the best team in the American, certainly, they haven't been great defending the pass this year. I think that that's where the opportunity is for the Roadrunners. Now, you have the Jeff Traylor factor and his name coming up with Texas A&M. Still, though, I'm going to go UTSA here.
Tulane's played a lot of close games, and UTSA had a rocky start, but has gotten a lot better.
Yes.
So they took the jump up. Remember, they jumped up into a better conference, and now suddenly they find themselves getting their act together and being in a big game like this. So I'm on UTSA. I'm on Boise State minus 6.5 at home against Air Force. I don't know what's going on with Air Force. So give me Boise, despite the fact that they fired their coach. Didn't seem to matter a whole lot last week. So I'm on Boise. And I am on TCU.
I think Boise can make the Mountain West Championship game, right?
They can still make the Mountain West Championship game, which is kind of surprising that they would fire Andy Avalos in the middle of all that. But nonetheless, I'm on Boise minus the number. They have something to play for. Not sure where Air Force is at. I'm on TCU plus the number against Oklahoma. TCU is just kind of like a pain in the ass. That's where I'm at with TCU at this point in time.
Yep.
And the Oklahoma side, to me, I'm just not comfortable with them laying points at this juncture.
Why? They're much better at home.
I have not picked Oklahoma right all year. And so my first gut instinct was Oklahoma minus the points. That's why I'm going TCU plus the 10.
I think it's a revenge spot. That was the first sort of image of the cracks on the Oklahoma defense. So I think Dylan Gabriel and Jaleel Farouk are expected to play. Oklahoma at home against this TCU defense. I think they win this game quite easily. So give me the Sooners here.
And finally, land-grant game. They play it Friday night at Ford Field. This is on NBC. This is one of those games that they had to negotiate because Kevin Warren didn't put the finishing touches on the Big Ten NBC contract.
Yep.
And so they had to shift this one to a Friday night at Ford Field. Penn State favored by 21 points. I'm on Penn State. I'll take Penn State minus the number.
I think I'm going to take Penn State here as well. A nice little 1-2, by the way, with this game being in Detroit and then the Michigan-Ohio State game being down the road in Ann Arbor. So
great weekend
two huge
of football.
games within whatever it is, a half hour.
All right. Shall we get to the moment you've all been waiting for?
Of course.
Ty versus the world.
Diverse le monde. El mundo. Sekai.
Świat.
Ty versus the world.
Presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
So look, go on out again to verballers.com. Make sure you get in on the Pick'em pool. A big week of games to pick. We've got a full slate of like 15 games that are out there. You got to get in order to win the prizes. You got to get in to be part of the fun. There is no better week than Rivalry Week. College football week 13 to do just
Excuse
that.
you. Salmonella Saturday.
Oh, God. I've got 4 games here.
Okay.
I've got Wazoo plus 16.5 in the Apple Cup. I've got Oregon minus 13.5 in the Platypus Cup. I've got Arizona minus 10 on the road in the Territorial Cup. And I've got Louisiana minus 12.5 in that game against Monroe that I do not understand. I don't get the line. Literally everything I could see has this at 21 points or more. Just going to trust the number.
Okay.
I'm going to trust the number. Those are my 4. Oregon, Wazoo, Arizona, and Louisiana. Then, Dan, we've got this. Many of you are listening to this on a Saturday morning. I apologize if you couldn't get in on the bet in advance because I'm going to put a Friday game in here. That being said, I've only hit one of these parlays all year. Maybe you're better off not betting it. Here are the 3 teams that I'm going to put together. Virginia Tech minus 2.5. We both like it, yeah?
Yes.
They bring the turkey to the table. We've got Nebraska minus 2.5 points. Still don't really know why they're favored. The point spread has gone more in their direction throughout the course of the week. Obviously, somebody likes them. I'm not sure I fully do, but they're bringing the corn to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just go straight up Rice. Rice minus 4 in their game this weekend. That brings us to turkey, corn, and rice, Dan. Some sort of Thanksgiving-themed parlay is what I'm thinking. Do we have a name that we can workshop here on the fly?
I mean, you could do the Plucky Pilgrim parlay.
The Plucky Pilgrim?
Right. I mean, I don't know. That sounds like the name of a fun bar, the Plucky Pilgrim.
I was thinking the Thanksgiving platter parlay.
Platter's not bad. I mean, you have the platypus in there, so it could be the platypus. Not great?
No, don't like it.
So you have Pilgrim. What other P words are aligned with Thanksgiving?
I have no idea.
Plateful parlay, right? Because this is your plateful, right? Turkey and corn and rice and all that stuff.
I think I might just go with the Thanksgiving parlay platter or platter parlay, something like that. I like that.
But it's more of a plate than a platter.
You want me to go Plucky Pilgrim?
I want the Plucky Pilgrim parlay.
We'll go Plucky Pilgrim. Plucky Pilgrim parlay. We'll do that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code SOLID. New customers get $150 instantly of bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SOLID. Dan, the crown is yours. Plucky Pilgrim.
Mine.
Here we go. We made it. A lot of games this here week. It is Rivalry Week. It is College Football Week 13.
College football and a live stream, right? So that's 12 p.m. It's the big noon Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Can we get there? It's just solidverballive.com. We'll get you there.
Solidverballive.com will get you there. Go to the YouTube channel. Yeah, come on out.
Ohio State, Michigan, watch along live stream.
You
Participate.
Participate. Verballers.com, of course, is where you can always go if you want to be part of the fun on our Discord server. I suspect it will be spicy in the Discord this week.
So do I.
A lot of reason to be spicy. Where's my sound?
Do you have the sound?
I don't even have it. I did the sound. A lot of reasons to be spicy this week.
Yeah, and we'll see what? Saturday night?
Saturday night.
For that campfire. Midnight Eastern, Saturday night, to react to everything.
For that guy over there, my good friend, Dan Rubenstein. Didn't even talk about your Thanksgiving plans. Not sure I want to after all of this salmonella
Here's
talk.
all I can tell you. Here's all I can tell you about Thanksgiving, and then we'll let the good people go. Make sure there's just different textures. Season your food, and make sure if you've got a soft dish, there's something crunchy on top. Make sure if you got a crunchy dish, maybe there's a sauce, just get the textures going, Ty. You mentioned climaxing in the beginning. I'm mentioning textures to close it out. That's all. Like, I put a crispy, it's called a crispity crunchity mashed potato topper. That's great. Mix your textures. That's all.
For that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrandt, thank you for joining us, for downloading, for supporting the show. Make sure you rate and review if you've already done so. If you're already listening to this on your podcasting app of choice, wherever you may be, have a happy, healthy, and safe Thanksgiving. We will talk to you all soon. Stay solid.
Peace.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.co/football for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility